Hello everyone, how are you? My name is Benson Numa, and this is going to be a different kind of video from the ones that we've been doing previously. It's because we are trying to focus more on giving you more value, not only as a client or as a business, but also as someone who is building on a vision, building on an idea, building on whatever you're building on. And the most critical thing that I've come to realize is that we usually do not pay enough attention to what it takes to build. Because a dream alone, the ideas that you have alone, they're not going to help you build. Ideas not worked on are bad ideas for you because they will limit where you're going and they will limit the speed at which you achieve this. And trust you me, this is not the topic that I want us to discuss today, but I'm trying to lay a foundation. So if you're new here, this is the first time you're watching us, this is our first long episode. Please make sure to share this episode with as many people as you can. Share it with a business owner, share it with dreamers, share it with a loved one, share it with your friends, share it with your network, because it's going to be very valuable. And especially if you're in a business whereby you're dealing with products. I know most of you have known me from other platforms on talking about services a lot, but in this particular video I'm going to focus on products. And this is the reason, because if we do not focus on what it takes to build a good product and what it takes to get this good product to the right people or to move it to where it's supposed to be, we're not going to make any change. And this is the biggest problem that we are facing. And I've been thinking, what is phenomenal about selling 10 products? It's good to start somewhere, it's good to start small. We are told of stories like Coca-Cola sold 25 bottles, I don't know, in the first year. I don't know, we are told which company did what, which is a good thing to start from there. But what I'm saying is that there is nothing phenomenal, there is nothing scaling for you to boast about when your business is only distributing product to 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, or even 40 people. And of course, this could be subjective sometimes, because if you're dealing with products that are high value, of course, you're not going to be in a mass market. But most of the things that we do, especially if you're dealing with FC, fast moving goods, all right, you're dealing with FMCG, like fast moving consumer goods. You're selling either food, selling snacks. Some of you nowadays, you're selling cosmetic products. Maybe on TikTok you're selling thrift clothes, thrift bags. And I know it feels good when you're selling to 10 people in a day. I know it feels so good when you're selling to 5 people in a day. But there is something that I've been telling even our inner circle, the people that we are with in our private roundtable, and this is it: we cannot always be glued and forever be held back in the concept of building small. You see, there is this cast. I was listening to Adesina, and he was talking about the cast that we usually have as Africans. And in this context, I'm going to talk for us as Kenyans of smallness, that we always want to say, I'm a small business owner. And content that revolves around I'm small, I'm doing things small, tends to get a lot of participation from people and from the market, because we kind of relate to it. And sometimes the concept of building big and thinking bigger than where you are at have become an alien kind of a thought. And most people have consistently and continually fought this idea that you can think about how you can distribute your product to 100, 200 people, 300 people in 4 different cities, 4 different towns, or even in all the 47 counties in Kenya. I don't know whether you're understanding that you need to think beyond that. It's a tattoo within us that we think that the market is small, that for us to build something, especially in the product sector, it has to be small. And so the thinking about raising capital to build something bigger, the thinking about doing more marketing to serve a bigger market, or even trying to distribute your product to more people, one, it often goes dismissed by most people. It never crosses the mind of people dealing with the products. But even worse is that most people even don't understand how distribution is done for products. So even if you wanted to build it, you cannot build it because you cannot think or dream or envision anything beyond your level of exposure or your level of knowledge. So if you do not understand that you can build something bigger, and the reason as to why I'm insisting on this before we start this video is because you see, as Africans and as Kenyans, as we are thinking that people are not willing to build with us bigger brands, you'll be shocked at how much we are importing every single month, every single year. And you'll be shocked how many fast moving consumer goods we get from other people to our country and we consume them. Because our people have this curse of thinking, I need to start small, I'm selling to 10 people. And sometimes it feels good, it feels human, and it feels like you have decorum, you're practicing gratitude and contentment. Because I've worked with founders previously. You talk to a founder and the founder will tell you, at least I'm doing 20, I'm grateful. There are people who are not doing anything. And some will tell you, there's a competitive market, it takes time and stuff. No, it's been 4 years. It's still taking time for you. Still taking time before you can charge more, before you can distribute more, and before you can be known more to bigger markets. And trust you me, I'm not talking about social media followers. Because also, as you're going to realize as we continue with the series throughout the month, you realize that some of the people even have followers. They have of not being able to distribute. They have 10,000 followers. Some have 20,000 followers. Some have 30, 40, 50,000 followers. And you keep on asking yourself, why is it that I have followers yet I do not sell? Because usually it drips down to whether you understand distribution. And that is why this month we are going to talk about product businesses and more so on distribution. Remember that when it comes to marketing alone is not enough. Creating awareness alone is not enough. Trying your level best to sell to people without getting the right people to work with you is still not enough. What is going to be enough for your business is if you master distribution. And that is what we are going to talk about in today's video. And I want us to think about what distribution is, what it means for a business, what it brings to your business, leave alone even what it means. Think about exactly what it brings to your business, because most brands, this is the biggest point that they have failed. They have failed on distribution. And I know when I talk about distribution, most people would think it's about logistics. No, it's not about logistics. Most of you would think, hey, it's about taking your product, taking it I don't know where. All of those are ideas and myths that we have around distribution, what I can call shallow truths that we have about distribution, which do not actually bring value to your business or do not translate to value for your business, especially if you're in such a competitive market and a crowded market as the one that we have in Kenya. So let's get right into it. What is distribution? Distribution basically is getting the right product to the right people through the right means, and ensuring that it gets to them at an affordable price. So I'm going to break that down. As you have listened, I've broken it into different parts. Number one, it's about the product. And I don't want to insist on the product, because there is one thing that I'm going to let you in, and I want you to understand this, that no matter the quality of your product, if your distribution is wrong, it still is not going to make any effect on your product. But also understand that if your quality is whack, you're going to get to people and ruin your marketing very fast. So it looks like a suicide. So if you get to as many people and the right people, and then you get to them with the wrong quality, those people are sooner or later going to taste better quality, and they're going to leave your brand. On the other hand, if you emphasize so much on quality, and this is where most founders are stuck, because we find ourselves, leave alone even founders, even business people, seasoned marketers, seasoned product developers, seasoned people, you find them stuck at this level of product development, because everyone wants to have a perfect product. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Usually, if you sit down to ask yourself the question, you realize that it's not usually about the product. It's either you're scared, or it's either that you're just not ready to take the action to take your product out there to the market. You're not ready to meet your clients. You're not ready to receive feedback. You're not ready to be criticized. You're not ready to be celebrated. Because let's even talk about that most of us mentally and emotionally, psychologically, we are not ready yet to be celebrated. We are not ready yet to be accepted in a marketplace. And so we reflect the very beliefs that we have within us in how we do our marketing, in how we do the distribution. So you find a very seasoned marketing executive who cannot get the brand to the next level because they are so much stuck on telling the product development team, you need to do this on the product, you need to do this, because they have not dealt with the part of their mind that is not comfortable with critics. They have not dealt with their mind, that part which is not comfortable about being celebrated. We usually make a joke and say that men don't know how to receive compliments. So you find a man and you tell them, hey, you know what, bro, good watch, and then they will tell you, it's not even expensive, or I just got it at so and so amount of money. Because as men, we do not understand how to take compliments. It's a joke that is made. I know that does not apply to every man, but what I'm trying to say is that there is a part of your mind that actually affects how you do distribution, and this is very critical, because throughout the entire month we are going to be demystifying and going through the different layers and levels of how you can do distribution for your company. And if you're a marketing executive, how you can transform that big company to a bigger company. And this one does not only affect small companies or small businesses that are just starting. You even find bigger companies with the wrong executives who have not dealt with their mind, they have not dealt with the concepts that they have, and then this is going to affect the entire thinking, the entire architecture of their distribution. And I'm not talking this as just an entitled opinion that I have about distribution or about marketers. I'm talking about this because I've been on tables seated with seasoned marketers. I've been on tables seated with seasoned salespeople, and I've heard how some of them reason, and you realize that they have the knowledge, the know-how, they know what is supposed to be done when it comes to distribution of a product, but they are still worried, they're still scared about the market. And I don't know why. Most of us, actually, that is where we are stuck. That is where we cannot break through when it comes to business. Ask yourself this question this evening or in the morning, whatever time you're watching this video at. Ask yourself, is it that the product is not okay, or is it that you are not okay with distributing the product to the market? Because you are going to realize that most of the time you're just finding more reasons to stay hidden in a cocoon. Because of course visibility is critical, because more visibility means more accountability. More accountability means more stake when you make a mistake. Now let me bring to you one phrase. And this phrase I was telling to a certain client of ours who deals with materials for construction and stuff. Now I was telling the client that if you have the best product, all right, you have the best product and you have poor distribution, you're going to be defeated, and your competitor who has a not so good product, who has a great distribution, is going to overtake the market, is going to defeat you, is going to have better numbers, is going to enjoy profits than you do. Why? Because distribution is the heart of your business, especially if you're dealing with products. Because you cannot tell me that you're selling a phone and you're not ready for people to see you, you're not ready for people to celebrate you, you're not ready to be criticized, because that is the time that you get the feedback that tells you this and this is what you need to do on your product. So get your product out there, get your product out there, whether it's good or not so good, get it out there. Chances are the highest quality product in the market is usually never going to get to your clients, because it's either tailored or pioneered by someone who is not willing to take the risk of distributing it to more people. This thing of wanting to play at the shallow ends of the ocean does not help your business. It does not help your business. It only kills your business. So the first thing that I want you to mark is that a mediocre product with great distribution will always outsell a great product with poor distribution. That is basically it. And you need to understand this. And I'm going to give you a good story. You remember, as I was starting the introduction of this video, we were talking about Coca-Cola and how a story is told of how many bottles they sold. But let's be honest about this. Let's check how well Coca-Cola distributed their product. the insured. Actually, before I talk about that, I remember we were in school and it was a question, and people were getting awarded if you answered the question right. And this was the question: after mama, which is the second most common name known by almost everyone in the world? And we all guessed. We said papa, we said God, and stuff. And they said no, it is a brand. And we all came to one conclusion, that the most known after mama is what we call Coca-Cola. When you were growing up, when I was growing up, I knew about Coca-Cola. Actually, I just learned recently that Fanta, Sprite, and the rest, they are all Coca-Cola brands. They are all tastes and flavors developed by the company. I didn't used to know, because I knew Coca-Cola, and that was the soda. When we were going for our Christmas holidays, I remember my dad used to bring one to us, and it's because they are marketing. It is one of the brands that I've been taking time to look at. Even as I was starting my knowledge of marketing, I was looking at Coca-Cola and how they do their marketing and how they do their distribution. These people are not limited. These people, they do not allow what is going on around to dictate their marketing. So even if you bought 1 million bottles today, you're still going to meet a Coca-Cola billboard. Even if you bought, I don't know, 1 billion bottles of soda today in Kenya, still, as you'll be going in cities, sometimes even off cities, you'll realize that you'll find a Coca-Cola billboard somewhere. And not only that, they have also ensured that they have distributors all around. For example, when I used to live in a place called Makongeni in Thika, there was a distributor there. And then you go towards Thika, there is another one. You go towards Juja, there is another one. Why? Distribution. Distribution is everything for your product. You can have a great product, but if you do not know how to do your distribution, that is not going to translate to success for your business. And mark this, we are going to talk in our journey. There is so much to learn from Coca-Cola. We are going to talk about how they do their marketing, how they influence how people think, and how they influence how people make decisions, etc., etc. But one of the things that has been so dominant is their distribution. Let's talk about Safaricom. Remember when Safaricom started in 2000s? What did they do? They started their distribution. How? M-Pesa agents. We are talking of Safaricom having M-Pesa agents everywhere. So nowadays, even in a small town, you realize there are like 5 or 4 M-Pesa agents, and these people are there. And they market the brand. They give the brand more visibility, and the more visibility it gets, the more distribution it's getting, because they have ensured that this product is getting to the right people with the right pricing. Now, that is the first thing. We are talking about the right product, and I'm telling you, the right product, usually it is very important, but that is not where it stops. The second thing we talked about is that it reaches the right person. Do you know the people who can buy from you? And by speaking about the people who can buy from you, let me break this for you so that you get to understand. When it comes to distribution, you need to understand there is something we do with service businesses at Grandes Consulting Group. And when we are dealing with a service-based business, we tell them that you need to come up with price tiers, or what we call different prices. We have the anchor price, we have the premium price, and we have just the price that helps you get along. So basically, when it comes to products, there is what we call SKUs, if you're dealing with things that you measure in weight or measure in quantity. And SKUs basically is stock keeping units, for those of you who do not understand. So, and you need to understand, what do people buy at what time, and what is the liquidity level of the people that you're targeting. Because you cannot keep on selling to people that you do not understand their liquidity level, because you keep on saying that people are not buying from you, yet it's the liquidity level of your clients that is not at par with what you're selling to them. So you keep on saying, I have 100,000 followers and they're not buying from me, and yet I'm just selling products that are worth 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Where are they not buying from me? It's because you have not understood your people and their liquidity level. Because as a company, you can have different products tailored towards different people with different budgets and different liquidity levels. And I'm going to break this with a good company like Bidco. Let me just use Bidco for example, in this case in Kenya. When Bidco started distributing its product, it had to understand exactly what are the stock keeping units that these people are going to afford. Because if you use effective and good stock keeping units that people can buy from you, their liquidity allows them to buy from you, then it simply means that people are going to buy from you again and again and again and again and again. And that is the biggest problem that we have. That is the biggest problem that we have, that we do not get to understand that not everyone is going to buy something from you for 1,000. Someone would want to buy from you for 300 and buy it today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. But most of us in business, we are so much glued to the idea. We've been made to believe so, and we've killed creativity, we've killed logic, and we've killed originality. Because this is what I say myself. And I treat a business the same way I would treat a country or a nation. And this is what I say, that the laws of a country should reflect the reality of its people. So the laws of your business should reflect the realities of the people that you're trying to serve with your product. So if your clients have daily liquidity ability, so these are people who are working as casual workers, these are people working in a mjengo somewhere, these are people who go to sell things by the roadside, these are people who are cleaners. You don't expect them to buy products from you for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 shillings every single day. Of course, these people need you to think about what could be effective for them. So let's even assume that you're selling maybe, which is a good example in a Kenyan market. Let me use even maize flour. So you're using flour and you're selling it to people, and the only quantities you have is 2 kg quantities, and it's going for maybe 150, 130, 170, 200. I don't know, different brands have different prices. But let's just say that you're selling unga, and as you're selling this unga, you do not get to understand, how do I ensure that I get to the people who need my product at the right time? It has to be the right product and to the right people. So these are some of the things that I'm trying to make you understand. Understand your people, understand the liquidity level of these people, because this is something that is going on, and it's something that businesses have to take advantage of. And if you're in business and you're dealing with products, take this secret, because it's going to help you and make you a whole lot of money in your business. And it's the secret that people are starting to embrace luxury, but they want to afford it. They want luxury, but they want to afford it. So that is why you see we now have iPhones that you lipa mdogo mdogo, because an average person who cannot afford that iPhone wants to get the iPhone. So what do? We introduce lipa mdogo mdogo, because people are starting to embrace luxury things, but they want them to be affordable to them. So if you're selling these fast moving consumer goods and you want people to buy from you, let's say it's unga, you need to understand that even if I make a premium brand for unga, I need to remember that there are people who need this unga in 1 kg, there are people who need it in half a kg. And that is how you move, that is how you grow as a business, because it has to reach the right people. And sometimes you reach the right people with the wrong pricing, and these people are never buying from you. So without wasting any more time, let me talk about the right price. All right, let me talk about the right price, and then we can call this once I talk about the price and then I talk about how it's supposed to be, we can end this video at that. And then I'll give you part 2, whereby I'll be talking about now what is distribution in technicalities, because what I'm doing right now, I'm doing a mental deconstruct for you, so that you get to understand exactly how does distribution for products occur, how does it work, and what should you do to ensure that it goes the right way. Now let me talk about pricing. As I was saying, if your people love your product and they're not able to afford it, it tells you two things: either you're reaching the wrong people, or you're reaching the right people with the wrong budget. So you're talking to people who can afford what you want to sell to them, but not at the level that is your entry level. So you introduce the bottlenecks for yourself, and then you start complaining, our products are not moving, people are not buying from us, I don't know, this and that. Or you start even saying, you know what, this and this is not happening, that one is not going, I don't know who is not buying this, I don't know who did what and who did what. And the problem is not even the customer. You realize usually that the problem is how you're selling it. So you start complaining that things like your numeric distribution percentage is not right. You start saying the number of shops, the percentage of outlets carrying your product, it's low. And then you start saying, oh, you know, marketing team, you're not doing a better market penetration, you're not doing better visibility for the product. And the problem is not penetration and visibility. The problem is that you are already reaching the right people. You have the people, you have the visibility, but these people do not have the budget to buy from you. These people don't have the budget for your products. And so your products keep on going again and again and again and again and again. And you're asking yourself, why is it that we are only doing 100 tons? Why is it that we are not doing 200 or 1,000 tons of unga every single year? And the problem is not the people consuming you. The problem is not the competition. I know some of us, we want to say, hey, you know, there is a lot of competition, this is a perfect market, everyone is moving into the market. No, that is not the problem. The problem is that you're reaching people and people are starting to buy into your brand, but you're not meeting them at their point of need, at the point of their budgets, and at the point whereby they are willing to buy from you. I was recently dealing with a client, and the client, I'm going to omit names in the video about the client for their own confidentiality. So they were dealing with goods that were in a perfect market, dealing with women and stuff. And this client came and told me, you know, Ben, we cannot do 300 pieces a month. You know, it's because there is a lot of competition. This is a perfect market. This market is easily disrupted, and so on and so on and so on. And I told them, can we for once stop giving excuses and sit down to actually study the data that we have about the market and make a good decision and see whether the problem is the market or the problem is how we are reaching the market? Because it doesn't make any sense that people follow you to the tens of thousands, to the hundreds of thousands, and yet you're not selling even to 200 or 300 of those people. It raises a question of whether it is at the right price. So we sat down and I told my client, I think the problem, from what I can see, because we took time to study the audience that she had, we took time to study some of the complaints, and we also listened to a few of their sales calls as their sales team was talking to these clients, and we were checking what are the major concerns and the gaps that are there. And we realized that price was a huge gap in their positioning, because they had the people who could not afford, and they were not positioning for premium market, they are positioning for a mass market. So I told the client, this is what we are going to do. We're not going to tamper with the quality, we're not going to tamper with what you're doing. What we're going to do, we're going to introduce another tire that sorts even the person with a lower budget. And it's been 2 months, and I can tell you that the client is doing really well when it comes to this. Even when you're in a service industry, you just need to ensure that you're reaching your people at the right price. Because there are people who can afford you at 5,000, there are people who afford you at 20,000, some at 100,000, some at 300, 400. And when you get to other levels, you're selling even premium. You have clients who can even afford you in millions. But you need to understand, as you're selling to all of these people, if your distribution has to be right, it has to reach to the right people. And if you have people following you who are not buying from you, it simply means they love your brand. So you need to develop a product for them. If people love your brand, develop a product for them. If you have people following your brand, develop a product for them. That is how it works. So if you have a lot of people who follow you and stuff, maybe the problem is not about the people. Maybe the problem is about you diversifying your product portfolio and having products that these people can afford and buy from you. And you're going to be shocked just by these 20-30 minutes that you have spent on this video, the knowledge that if you can apply this knowledge that I'm giving you, you're going to be shocked at how much you're going to achieve. Ensure that you distribute the right way. And I've told you, good distribution simply means get the right product to the right people, and it has to get to them at the right price. So you have to do the math. If you have so many brokers in between, you have middlemen, you need to do the calculation in your mind and understand that if I sell it at this level, at an average, a distributor who is at a national level, who is distributing big time to big people, they usually go for margins between 8% to 10%. And then for the wholesalers, you're going to realize that these people are going for something between 10% to 15%, sometimes even to 20%. And for the final touch point with the customer and the product, you're going to realize that maybe it's going to be at 20% of what they bought from the wholesaler. What does that tell you? That by the time your product is getting to the market, it has already increased in price by about 40% or 30% or 50% sometimes. So that tells you that if I need these consumers, we are going to talk about something in this series, and it's about a concept in distribution called the push and pull. The push deals with the outlets that you have, and the pull deals with the consumers for your product. And I'm going to explain how that works. But you need to understand this. If you're not putting this thing in mind, this thing about price, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect your distribution, because we operate at a very price sensitive market. And in this market, if you don't master that, that is going to be very bad. Now, as we conclude the video, remember again to share this video. Save it for later. Like it, comment, share it as much as you can. Share it with your friends who are in business. Let them understand how distribution works, especially those maybe who sell products and they are calling themselves small business owners. Let them rise beyond this curse of smallness. Let them rise beyond this fixed thinking consistently of smallness, that no matter how big you try to do anything, you still keep on being glued to that smallness. Build your brand to be better. Build your brand to be big. Now, we're going to come back with part 2, that we are going to talk about how distribution is done in its technicality, the different layers that are there, so that you also get to understand, so that you do not ask me, Ben, you're talking about distribution and I love what you're saying, but how do I do my distribution? We're going to handle that. But till that time, remember you can reach out to us at consultgrandeshub@gmail.com. We'll be more than willing to work with you, work with your brand, to help your brand get to the next level, to help you understand what are the patterns, what are the behaviors, what does your market, what are the patterns, what are the behaviors that your market has, what motivates your people to buy from you, where can you reach your consumers at the right point. I don't know, you need to have this in your mind. Play this video again and again. If you have to listen to it 10 times, listen to it 10 times, just to ensure that you master distribution, you master this mental deconstruct. Because in the next episode that we are going to deal with, we are going to be dealing with a lot of technicalities, strategizing and planning. And also, if you are a distributor, if you are a producer, you're a manufacturer, you do food processing and stuff, you do product manufacturing and stuff, whatever it is that you do, and you know that you're serving a bigger market, and you want to scale it across the nation and even outside of this nation, remember that you can join us for better strategy sessions, better strategy calls, whereby we can help you understand what are the boundaries, what are the limits, what are the restrictions, what are the regulations, and what are the strategies that can make your brand stand out even in a crowded market. Until next time, my name is Benson Numa, and I'm looking forward to see you on the next one. Bye bye.